I'm at Grace Church Road. I went to Waynesboro to bring this man down to this address, and now he's trying to force his way into a house. I'm afraid to move my vehicle. Just fighting in there.
It's inside the house now?
Yeah.
You have your doors locked?
It's open. I'm in a van.
You need to make yourself safe, okay? Even if you've got to drive away from there to get away from him and close that and lock that door. Do that for me now, please.
Okay, wait a minute.
Oh, good morning, everybody. How are you? Hi, Brett, Sharon, Adam, Bass Girl.
Bass Girl.
Bass Girl. Why did I call her Bass all of a sudden now? It's because you put it in my head yesterday. I think that's the reason why. Because I knew that as I was saying it even. Crime sleuthing, cold case reports. Hi, y'all. Good morning, Sunny Chat. Good morning. Howdy, Scott. PJ's Second Chance. Good morning. Teresa Mercer. Betty. I want to say Betty Boop just because. Close enough, right? Betty B. Betty Boop. Yep. Betty Boop's in the house. Anyways, it's where are you guys all from? I'm from Vancouver, Canada. It's 7:00 in the morning here. I can barely see still. My husband left for work at like 4:30, or 5:00 actually this morning, because I remember him coming in going, it's 5:10, and I remember going, oh, okay. I got a couple more hours to sleep. Well, an hour and a half. And then next thing I know, I wake up and it's like 6:45, and I was like panicked, thinking I missed that the live had already started. Well, I know definitely, yeah. And so I was like, oh. And then I quickly got up, made some toast, coffee, threw the hair up.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's 10:00 here, and I think it was around 9:27. I was like, okay, I better get up.
Look, I like how most of is like UK. Do you guys know my husband's from the UK, right? My husband's from Nuneaton, and over at the UK there. So of course the UK people are gonna be up. You guys got I think it's 8-hour difference there. Mm-hmm. Right. So nobody's in the Pacific Standard Time.
No, they're still sleeping.
Right, because they're normal. It's okay. You know what? I'm usually a night owl myself, and I'm always up till the wee hours of the morning. I was born this way.
Yeah,
just like Lady Gaga. I was born a night owl. UK here. My ex is from Nuneaton. Shudder. Oh, that's like when Betty. That's like when someone says that their ex is from Newfoundland. I shudder times 2. On there. It's like, ugh, because Newfoundlanders are said that they're supposed to be really nice people. Now, I'm not saying that they aren't, but I'm not going to put that X in the category anymore. No.
We think the Canadians in general are all nice.
Lies.
Is that? Well, I mean, I know now. Not you.
Lies. Yeah. Yeah. We joke about this, but it's true. When I first got into true crime, which I really wasn't intending to, y'all are up early. Hi, Jeff H. I used to. What are we talking about again? True crime.
Newfoundland.
No. You know what? It literally left. I looked down, saw Jeff's comment. Literally, sorry guys, tired still. Literally looked up. My brain literally went kapoof, gone. So unless someone can remind me what we were just talking about, I know it was Newfoundland. Yeah,
Canadians being nice, but
yeah, it's gone. I hate it when I do that though.
Well, and we finished our live last night, and I was like, okay, good night, and I was like, oh damn, that's in like 8 hours.
Oh, I don't think that. Normally, I think it was just because I don't even know why. I think it was just because I fell back asleep, and then I wake up, and I didn't know what time it was, and I hate that. Like I'm always like, I should set my alarm. Because if I don't, then because when I woke up, I panicked and going, "Oh, what time is it? What time is it?" And there was like 6:45, and I was like, "I got 15 minutes."
It took me a minute to get Jeff's
up
there. Jeff said it's like Will Smith held that little blinky thing in front of your eyes. It took me. I was like, "Wait, what's he talking about?" And then I was like, "Oh yeah, Men in Black."
Live tweeting or anything for this hearing? Well, actually, that's what I was gonna do. I was just gonna pull up Bryan and Twitter. Okay, so there's his Twitter. It says Bryan Kohberger hearing set to start at 8 a.m. local time, 11 Eastern time. Video recording is allowed in the courtroom, but we are not allowed to live stream it. Okay, so remember, they're not allowed to live stream it, but I believe that they can tweet out.
And I also don't expect it to be a very long hearing at all. It's a pretrial. It's a pretrial hearing.
Yeah.
And I would be surprised if it lasted more than 15, 20 minutes.
Adam, your mic is doing something funky there.
I would be surprised if it lasted more than 15 or 20 minutes.
No, it's actually not that. What it's doing is it's giving off static when you're talking.
Huh.
It's it's not that you're far away from it. It's just coming off staticky.
Huh.
Do it again. Do it again.
I would expect it. Is it too bad?
Yeah, it's doing. You know when something gets staticky when you're talking?
Yeah, I'll go out. I'll be back.
Okay, because there's something weird going on there. Yeah. Anyway, hi Steph. Did I say hello? Yeah. Oh, I shouldn't be so rude. I thought I said hellos already. See, that's how tired I still am. So if anyone's new, welcome. Like I said, we can just chill and hang together, for a bit, whichever. Either way, we like to, still be part of it when it happens and whatever, and just chill with people and talk about the Bryan Kohberger'S and stuff like that of the world. So Brett Decker, Sharon Parker, how are you? Bass girl. All right. Ozzy, how are you? Crime Sleuthin', Cold Case Reports, PJ Second Chance, Belinda. Or did I say your guys' names already and I'm just forgetting? I mean, I think, oh, you know what? I didn't I? Who cares? Say it again, right? PJ's, Scott, Teresa Mercer, right? Betty Boop. That's why I remember. Belinda. I'm usually not this far off the ball, but right now I'm pretty much like probably 100 feet away from it. Sharjo Lily. Okie dokie. That was a mouthful. Jumping Jack Flash. Streamlabs is always in the house. UK, yeah, okay, yeah. And we got Jeff. I like Will Smith held up. I don't know. This isn't going to be a live stream, but it's someone live tweeting or anything. Yeah, for this hearing. So yeah, I believe that they're able to tweet, but they can record it. Just can't do it live because that's what the judge said, I guess. Yeah, yeah, you're gonna have to. Well, I don't know. I think that they should be allowed to tweet. He didn't say anything about not tweeting. Um, usually a lot of times they'll be allowed to tweet when they have cameras. He did. You know what? But I can't say 100%. We have a tornado warning. Hi, Austin. How are you? Do 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 do. Is your cell phone near your mic? Oh, right. Maybe his cell phone was near his mic. Yeah, that was the first time I really heard that. Good morning, Joan. Do you guys ever go to bed? Yeah, for a couple hours. Thanks for all your hard work. Cup of tea with friends. So hard when no one else is into sleuthing. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Um, Good morning, everyone. Snap, crackle. Yeah, snap, crackle, pop into your morning. Karen Perez. I got coffee. Oh, yeah. What does this one say? Your dad, my this cup, it says your dad, my dad. Whoops, hold on. Come this way. Anyways, and then it's got the superhero on it. Your dad is basically boring. It's saying my dad's a superhero. Uh, Say my name, Sonny. Say my name, say it once. Okay, Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Is that any better?
Yeah, that's better. Which
Okay.
Jeff said was your phone near your mic. Hey, and Sonny, you're live streaming and sleepwalking it. It's pretty much what's happening, Jeff. Hey, and Jeff, just to ask you, you can just say yes or no. If you want to join us up here, feel free, because we're just really talking about a whole lot of nothing, and right now, really, I mean, we'll keep an eye on what's going on some of the things. But if you want to come on, if you want, just let me know and I'll drop the link. I'm too lazy to email you right now unless you say yes or drop the link, to be honest with you. um, so let me
You know who else is probably in line for the court if she's in Idaho. I wonder if Nancy's not going to go to court. Never mind.
You don't think?
No, Nancy will have someone else go.
Yeah, right. Because she'll be sitting at her table there over in front of the house. Yeah.
It's not funny. I'm sorry. As soon as I saw that cardboard table, though,
yeah. Let's see here. Idaho case, Kohberger stuff. Okay. Do. What do we got here? I'm just gonna look up to if what does my best friend Nancy Grace have going on her Twitter? Let's see. Okay. Yeah, nothing. We're driving. Yeah. Hey, I didn't see that picture. That was 14 hours ago. She got a picture in front of the Moscow Pullman sign.
My Twitter won't pull up for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, could have.
Huh.
There we go.
So,
who's JB? Oh, Jeff Beck. Sorry.
Oh, JB?
I forgot he passed away.
Who did?
Jeff Beck, the guitarist.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Joe. I just seen your message prior to coming to the live on there. So I seen it, but I haven't looked or I haven't answered back to it. I've played that video clip for lots of people, and they are like, "No way!" Oh, that's so wonderful. Again, you guys. Actually, I was just about to bring this down for a second and bring that picture up of Nancy, but since I have this one to say, so that's who's exactly thanking me right now is Joe Johnson. Again, the Whiskey Brothers will be playing January 14th from 7 to 11 p.m. at the Mooresville American Legion on 350 East Main Street, Mooresville, Indiana. They'll have live music. So it'll be Joe Johnson, Marvin Parrish. Okay, so if you guys live in the Indiana area or the surrounding area, please check them out on January 14th and support your local bands. And, I live in Canada, or else I'd be there. Sorry, Joe. In Mooresville American Legion. Okay, so that's who's in the chat right now saying thank you. Right. And it really sometimes becomes like he's very appreciative, and I thank you so much. Joe, it's when people are appreciative and just simply say a thank you, that means the most to me personally, because there's so many people that always want something, did it out of life and stuff like that. But acts of
Right.
kindness are good. And for someone to ask me that comes and watches the channel, hey, can you, let people know that we're doing a live? Absolutely. I'm not going to sit there and charge anything for it, or, but the thing is that some people get on their high mighty horses in life, and you know what I mean? I always have to attach something to something. You do something for me, I'll do something for you. That's not the way I work. um so in this case, absolutely, Joe, our pleasure. You're welcome. And again, have a great live. That's in 2 days time, you guys. Okay, the Whiskey Brothers will be playing January
Right.
14th. So we are on Indiana, almost like Delphi based um stream. We've covered that case now for a couple of years, along with the Suzanne Morphew. We've recently involved ourselves in the Idaho one as well. So again, we do get a lot of the Indiana followers because of the Delphi case, and they're from Indiana. They're from Indiana.
Yeah.
So thank you, Joe, for the appreciation. It does mean a lot. Do, 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 do. And so this is Nancy's picture right here.
Me going through Twitter,
Yeah.
it's so dangerous because I'm like looking for stuff from the courthouse. Next thing you know, I'm like, what? Accused of what? Oh, he's what? Oh, missing what?
Oh yeah. What am I looking for? Oh, I'm looking for this. Give me a second. I have to make a noise for a sec, so I need to mute myself. All right. And it wasn't that type of noise. It wasn't one of those ones that came out from a certain end. I wasn't meaning that, if that's what anyone meant or thought. You probably didn't think it, to be honest
No,
with
I
you.
didn't.
I probably just naturally think it because everyone knows that the more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. So have some beans at every meal. You're welcome. I don't think I mute myself.
You said wakey wakey to me. I just took your message.
I was gonna say, I mean, there was one time the other night. Is this TMI? Is this TMI? I don't
Yes,
care.
it is. I can already tell you, especially with Nancy in front of Nancy's here. I mean,
Nancy,
can't talk about this in front of Nancy.
Right. It's just a pleasure. She wants a big puff ball to go by her face. I can see. The other day, I was going to fart, and I leaned forward, and then I realized I wasn't muted, so I had to pull back and be like, "Oh yeah, right."
Aw, Joe, that's very sweet.
What did Joe say?
I didn't know she had a handcuff necklace. I would own it because I like necklace.
It's a stocking stuffer from 2016. She still wears them. Oh,
Everyone knows I like a nice necklace. Or
you just
not
totally
even nice.
took away from my fart story, though, by telling that sweet thing. No.
And Sonny, I just sent you a really quick little story that I came across.
Oh, did you?
Nothing to do with Idaho, but
Oh.
It popped up on my feed when I was looking.
Oh, isn't she precious? But okay.
I don't know anything about it, but it just popped up on my feed from 22 hours ago.
Oh, well, let's take a look. She looks so darn cute. Okay, you guys. Okay, can you guys see that? Look at that little princess. Okay, well, let's there it is. It's in this one. So let's see. FBI searching for a 3-year-old girl reported missing after mail carrier spots sister 5 unattended. Okay, well, let's just listen to what it's saying.
An urgent search happening right now. Breaking developments still coming in from Surreal. The FBI on the ground there helping search for a missing 3-year-old girl. Investigators have released a picture here we're going to show you of Athena Brownfield, who they say went missing yesterday afternoon. You can see that below us here. KOCO's Kylie Walker is live in Surreal this morning with the latest. Kylie.
Yeah, Shelby Alejandra, good morning. OSBI is asking anyone who wants to help in the search for this 3-year-old girl to meet them here, right behind me at the Family Life Church here in Cyril. We did talk to investigators this morning. They tell us that they are on hour 24 working this case. They are still searching for this little girl, and they say that now the FBI has joined them. And I want to pull that picture up of that little girl right now. That is, again, 3-year-old Athena Brownfield. She reportedly went missing from near her home on the 200 block of West Nebraska Avenue yesterday afternoon. And police say a mail carrier called police to report an unattended child. Turns out that was Athena's 5-year-old sister, and that led police to learn about the missing 3-year-old. Now, here's video of search parties from last night. Cyril Police, Caddo County Sheriff's Office, and the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, they're all helping with the efforts to find this little girl. Our partner station, KWSO, reporting police taped off the little girl's home around 9 p.m. And OSBI says that hundreds of people have helped with this search for Athena.
Town has kind of been out. We've also used dog teams and infrared, and we're just asking the community if they want to help to come here to the Faith Church right here in Cyril. That's where we'll be coordinating our search efforts.
And again, that search active and ongoing. Again, they want anyone to who wants to help with this search to meet them here at Family Life Church this morning. We do know that, again, they are using helicopters. Just a while ago, OHP had their helicopter up using that to search for this little girl. They're using dogs. They're using infrared. You heard that investigator there. They're asking anyone with any information about Athena's whereabouts to call their tip line. For now, though, reporting live, Kylie Walker, KOCO 5 News.
Oh
wow, that is
heartbreaking.
That is so sad. Oh goodness. Hey CD, hey buddy, how you doing? CD, is it too early? Is it too late? Is it too anything to ask you if you want to join us? Wait, does anyone actually want to come and talk about well let me wait for CD first, but if anyone does want to join the live with us and just talk about Bryan Kohberger, the case in general, regardless, because of course, again, remember, they can't live stream it, but they can give us updates and that as they're going along.
And like I was going to say earlier when my mic was going out, hopefully it's okay now. I don't think this will be a long hearing. I would think 15, 20 minutes tops.
Yeah. We're just forcing you guys really to sit with us and talk with us.
Well, it's only 30 minutes from now that it starts.
Yeah. I mean, again, justice for the missing and the murdered. And that's disgusting. Like I said, it breaks my heart when it comes to children. No offense to, the older ones and that, but when I see such a precious little face like that 3-year-old on the screen,
Absolutely.
and I'm sorry that I can't think of her name at the moment. The child with the Purelator or the UPS guy.
Her name wasn't her name Athena as well. Athena,
yes.
Both of their names are Athena.
Yeah, just like that one the other day was like, Harmony.
Right, and I was, and there's Madalena, and then I was when I was in Portugal, I went to Madeline.
Mm-hmm. Look what Austin says. Austin, you know that you've just disappointed Adam right now, right? Because we, of course, was expecting you to, of course, be nude on the live.
All you have to do is be dressed from the waist up.
Yeah, even if it's like you take your shirt and put one of those little, little things in it. What do you even call that when you put a little twist in your shirt?
CD never has pants on when he streams.
Yeah. Teresa disturbing. Hey, CD, you didn't answer me. Because Adam keeps joining you. I keep saying, but I don't see you exactly coming in to see me. I feel like that our love is going south. It should be going north.
Rebecca.
Saying.
This cough, if it doesn't go away, I'm like, oh.
When you're a parent of a 3-year-old, you need to know where your child is at. Of course. Just like you need to where your own belly is. Exactly. I can always see my belly. It's below that. That's hard to see. Yeah. That's disturbing. Not Teresa's disturbing. That what I just said is disturbing. Sunny and Adam. But yes, no, just kidding. It's just I just couldn't imagine some of this stuff that
Right.
parents do. I just couldn't imagine, you know. Sunny, I will work on coming up in half an hour. Running a couple hours quick. Oh, okay, fine. So we're like an on the go live for you. I see. Have a cup of Joe. There you go. See you, Joe. Have a cup of Joe. All right. I just googled the Nancy Grace handcuff jewelry. They still offer them. They say her name in them. You know, I just like the idea of handcuffs.
Right.
You know, there's my favorite.
I don't know if I need Nancy's name on them, but
yeah, you know, I've switched. I switched to who I like a lot more now, which I secretly did anyway. And sorry, CD's wife, yet again for like the 100th time, but all you have to do is say handcuffs, and I'm like sold, right? That's the infatuation, and especially, well, I don't even think that I need pink fluffy ones, to be honest with you. That would be for Alexa. Alexa likes her pink. As you know what, I actually used to really like pink when I was younger. Used to wear pink, always pink.
I like pink.
I left it. I got over it. Then I started going to blues and different colors.
I went to high school. I took this one classic, and there was this big linebacker football player from the football team at high school that was in the class, and he was a friend of mine, and he didn't have a pen, and his girlfriend had given him a pen to use.
Yeah.
And it was a pink pen, and so everyone was making fun of him. And he just turned and goes, "Hey, if you use a pink pen, it just means you have big balls." And I'll never forget that.
I'm gonna have to from the wife's hey, we're not even on screen. Okay. From the wife's lips. CD, since you're out there, if you could get me some heavy pads. I mean, I don't really have my monthly anymore, but if you could just get me some.
Okay,
I need some Depends. Depends. Definitely the Depends would work. Help. You know, it's almost like when you're a child, you need diapers, and when you're older, you need diapers too. But they're called Depends. Not a pretty word to. I think I prefer the word Pampers. I got pink guitar picks. Good morning, Melissa.
How are we more inappropriate in the morning than we are at night?
I can be inappropriate pretty much all the time if I really wanted to. You know, that's what I miss about work is just like I'm just the type of person that will, if you work with me or something like that, I'm always joking around. The one time I'm not even serious. It's so rare that I'm ever serious. You know, serious. But obviously, when it comes to the missing and the murdered, you know, a whole different ball of wax. But we still have to stay lighthearted. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, it's not impacting us. These other people are being impacted, like like Delphi, like obviously the Idaho 4 parents and the victims of that and stuff like that. But regardless, it just impacts your heart a lot, and that's why you guys are in true crime, because you care. I mean, there's the odd, you know, I mean, even the trolls that come in, they must care on some level.
Oh,
sure.
I believe that everyone that gets into true crime for wherever they end up with it, I think that, most people.
Yeah.
I hope that most people get it. Most people interest lies mainly in the victims.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just scrolling around here. Oh, let's see here. Did Idaho suspect know the victims? You know what?
Ooh, mini cute dipped in red wine vinegar. That would be good. See, I've never had that.
Oh wait, hold on. There's just an important message from CD. Sunny, hello. I will add it to my shared. Oh, so that my wife can read it. My kids are addicted to mini.
Now I want
Mini cucumbers dipped
I
in
want
red
pickles.
wine vinegar. This list is ridiculous. You know what, Steve? CD, I'm just telling you right now, your wife is ridiculous because I would never give you a list. Well, I mean, is the list on your phone? Because I would text it to you. But
Well, yeah,
yeah.
they have those apps where you can do a shit and it'll update it. So
Oh,
CD's probably out running errands, and his wife's probably adding things to the list as he's running the errands.
oh, okay. Well, I'm just saying, I would still, if you were my husband, which you're not, but if you were, because I already have one, my husband gets those same lists, but his aren't ridiculous. They're just like he thinks that they're ridiculous because I asked for like 4 things maybe, but it's like on his way home from work. It's not out of his way, and he always says to me sometimes, right? Because we just live right near where I could go get it myself, like 2 minutes away, walking, which is long because I'm used to getting up out of bed to the computer. So you understand the strain that it puts on me.
Take 2 feet.
But my husband always says, you do have 2 legs, right? And I'm like, yeah, I know I do, but I'm too lazy to go because it's on your way home. So you can just stop and get it because you're driving. That would require me to walk these little fat legs. Actually, my legs are pretty nice, actually. Doesn't
Austin, that sounds dirty or naughty.
It's always sunny. You see how I'm there with Nancy in this picture, by the way? You see that glare off of that sign?
Oh,
like,
we could Photoshop you into the other side of that picture real easy.
Why I'm already there. You see that burst of light that's coming off of it? That's me, and I'm like an orb ball just floating around. I'm like, oh, Nancy's over here. That's where I am. Cucumber should only. Okay, can we get off the cucumber subject? To be honest with you, okay.
Yeah.
My mind is not thinking about dressings or ranch.
Yeah, Melissa, exactly. A honeydew list, but I don't think there's a question mark so much at the end.
Oh, that's a cute list. I didn't use that one for my husband.
Have you never heard that?
Well, I think I've heard it, not for a long, long time. So I'm gonna when I text my husband, later. Well, actually, no, I'm going to my sister's, but I'll be like, "Here's your honeydew list.
Honey, do this. Honey, do that. Honey, do this."
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
but we all know there's no question mark.
I wonder if my ex-husband was right when he said that I was a princess and I just needed a bell on there.
No.
So it's so silly.
You're actually not a princess. You're the queen.
There's a difference. Hi, True Crime Housewife. Anyways, you know what? Let me just play this CNN one that I was. You know what? Okay. So
and then I'll check in on Bryan's Twitter.
Yeah, and exactly, and check Nancy Grace, of course. Check on her Twitter. But some of you guys might not like this guy from the CNN, and I actually didn't know. See, I used to watch this soap opera. I think it was on All My Children. And it was, what was her name? Something Chancellor. The old
Kay
white
Chancellor?
lady. Yeah, Kay Chancellor.
I never watched All My Children. How did I know that?
Yeah, but I couldn't believe that I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but this guy, I'll show you. I didn't know that was
it Adam?
This guy. That's her son.
That's no.
Yes.
No, his mom is Gloria Vanderbilt. His mom made the jeans in the 80s. I know this 100%.
Hold on, is it Gloria? Wait, are you sure it's Gloria Vanderbilt?
Yes, I'm 100%. He is a Vanderbilt. His mom. I read their book, and his mom passed away a year or two ago.
Okay, fine. Maybe
actually
you're right.
I met Anderson Cooper in New York once.
Shit.
Oh, you're right, base girl. Kay Chancellor was Restless.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
But his mom is Gloria Vanderbilt.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm changing my story. I'm changing it. So when I worked in cosmetics, there was the line Gloria Vanderbilt.
Yep.
That's how I knew her. My mom's name is Gloria. Gloria, Gloria. I'm gonna sing it every day. You guys probably don't know that song. It's an old one. But anyway.
I know the song.
There was somebody that was the son of that Kay Chancellor, though. Now, you're right. I guess it's Gloria Vanderbilt. And I was like, really? I used to sell that fragrance in my area. You know, it wasn't a pop. It wasn't. I mean, I can't say it was a popular one because in ours, and I worked in the downtown Eaton's store, which is a lot bigger of the Eaton Center, and it was in my area, which is deemed as the bath bubbles. And
Thank you, base girl. Sorry.
yeah, what's
Corbin. She's right. Corbin Benson is her son, is Jean's son, and actually Jean just passed away as well recently. She was on Young and the Restless for years.
Yeah.
And then to Sunny, your story, Gloria Vanderbilt, that perfume would have been big in the 80s.
Yeah.
So just a little bit before your time at Eden's.
Yeah, just like
early 80s.
Yeah, it was about the same time, honestly, as Julio Iglesias.
Yeah.
You know, and Julio Iglesias, the father.
I'm a wealth of useless knowledge.
Yeah. I'm pretending to talk and be like funny with Adam. That's just all. It's a skit. We're actually, you know, we just need Deb here so that we can make fun of her because she's not a Cancer. Yeah. If anyone is not familiar with the music of Jeff Beck, you have to go check out his album Wired. It's in my top favorite, and I've worn that album out since high school. So the minute anyone starts talking about albums, you know they're at least 99 years old or close to it. You know, I remember those big things. I actually miss that. You know,
I buy them, Sonny. I have a turntable, and
I buy a turntable.
Yeah, and I buy new vinyls. I just got the new Taylor Swift album on vinyl.
Really?
Yeah, they sell vinyls, and a lot of times they'll come with a digital download code now, where you can have it on your phone too, which is brilliant.
What's that?
Because then you can listen to it. You know, like I love record players.
I know.
I need a new pair.
Yeah. What's that thing with the big microphone thingy coming out of it that looks like a flower? What is that thing called?
But I haven't.
No, that thing that's before the one that's before our time that you wind it up.
A gramophone. A gramophone.
Yeah. I need one of those. You know, so you guys.
They make a Bluetooth one of those.
Oh, do they really?
They do. They make a new one. I just saw it recently. They make one that it's a Bluetooth speaker, but it looks like an old grandma phone.
Yeah, I know this has everything to do with Bryan Kohberger. You know, we're just we're living. You know what? We're kind of talking about his parents. I'm just gonna lie here. We're just talking about what's in his parents' house. Probably still. So I love those things. And you know, like the little CDs, the little 45s or whatever, and they just look like little flying saucer discs. You know, I miss that. When I was a kid, you know, when you're first a child and you get that little record player thing that has those plastic discs with the little
price one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the red and white one with the yellow handle. And then it comes with it plays Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and it plays. Yep. Mm-hmm. They make those again.
I know.
They make a vintage line of all of the Fisher Price toys for little kids.
Anderson, this guy right here.
Yeah, Anderson's alive. He just did New Year's Eve with Andy Cohen.
I doubt he would be doing the Idaho murders in front of you. This is Anderson Cooper. That's his name, right?
Yeah, Anderson. Yeah.
And right, it was Corbin. Thank you, Bass, whatever, Bass. I know it's Bass, because that's who it was Corbin, which was thank you. See, as you get older, things don't stick. You know, there's a lot of things that do stick, and then there's a lot of things that go bye-bye because I'm getting older. I used to have the brain power that was like photographic before. I like it was about I don't know, probably in my 40s, Adam, the early 40s is when I was like, oh, why am I forgetting things? Well, like I would never forget anything. It was just like a photographic memory. I would just store it in there and I could just pull from it whenever I needed it. Now I'm like,
I guess I better start writing stuff down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't forget, you guys, too.
I remember where I wrote it.
Eh?
I said, then I guess I won't remember where I wrote it down, though.
Yeah, right. Okay. Give us a sec. Let's play this. You guys can listen to it. Again, are you checking out tweetings and anything like that going on? 7:44. Yeah, let's play this, and we'll do that quickly. And let me hit large screen on it. I like it sometimes when their face stops a certain way.
Semester began today at the University of Idaho. Classes resuming for the first time since a suspect was arrested in the murders of 4 students. The killings obviously gripped the campus and with fear since November. Bryan Kohberger will appear in court again tomorrow. Meanwhile, a lawyer for the family of one of the victims, told People magazine that none of them knew the suspect or had any idea that they were in danger. Gary Tuckman joins us now live from Moscow, Idaho, with more. So what happens tomorrow?
Anderson, the accused murderer, will have his second appearance in court in this courthouse here in Moscow, Idaho. Exactly a week ago, he had his initial appearance in court. When he came into the courtroom, when he sat down, he showed no emotion at all. He smiled a little bit to his public defender. We'll see what happens during this second appearance. During this appearance, it's expected there will be scheduling discussions about future pre-trial hearings. Now, last week, during the initial appearance hearing on the same day, the police affidavit was released. We were awaiting that because it contains reasons they arrested this man, including police believe they found his DNA on a knife sheath that was found on the bed of one of the victims. In addition, police say that one of the housemates who survived heard crying, stepped outside her room, saw a man in black clothes, a mask, and bushy eyebrows. They say her description helped lead to more evidence against him. And finally, police say that his cell phone signal was detected on at least 12 instances over the 5 months prior to the murders right near the house. And also it was detected about 5 hours after the murders, after the sun came up. This is a death penalty state. Anderson, prosecutors will have to decide if they will seek it.
As we mentioned, the first day of the spring semester was today for most students there. Have you talked to any students about how it feels to be back on campus?
Yeah, I went out on campus today and talked to some of the students. Everyone I talked to who came back to start class today is very grateful that a suspect was caught. You know, this is a very safe city, Moscow, Idaho, and the campus is very safe. And what happened over the past several weeks and the end of the fall break is a lot of people were walking in pairs, walking with buddies, or walking in groups. And many of the people I talked today say they will continue to do that, even though a suspect has been caught.
Gary Tuckman, appreciate you being there. Thank you. For more on what to expect tomorrow when the suspect appears in court, we're joined by criminal defense attorney Mark O'Mara. So you heard Gary's report. What are you anticipating is going to happen in the hearing?
Well, tomorrow is not going to be as significant as the one a week from now. Tomorrow is sort of a status conference. The judge will let them know what's coming up next. The most significant hearing, Anderson, is going to be within about a week, because 14 days from last week, they have what's called a preliminary conference. And that's where the state presents even more evidence to try and show up that they have affirmative probable cause to keep him. And then at that point, trial dates will start getting set. So tomorrow, as was said by the reporter, some scheduling, keeping things on track. There always has to be a next court date, but I think the most significant ones are coming up in the next couple of weeks.
And before the release of the probable cause affidavit, the suspect's attorney in Pennsylvania said that the suspect believes he'll be exonerated. Now, investigators seem to have what would appear to be strong evidence against him, especially with the DNA found on the knife sheath. What are the chances you think this would go to trial as opposed to a plea deal?
Well, you know, it's so hard to say. In many of these cases, like the ones that we see with this type of horrific events, what happened with the death of 4 young college students, you know, what is he going to get offered that he would accept? If it's his hubris that he thinks he's going to be exonerated, that he may very well want his day in court, even if he just has this belief, sort of like Ted Bundy years and years ago. He liked the idea of the spotlight. So it's really hard to say, but I will tell you, with the enormity of evidence, even in just the 20 pages that we have and the tens of thousands that are coming, it is going to be hard pressed for any, even a very good defense team, to be able to convince reasonable doubt exists in this case. It again may turn into something of trying to minimize the damage to him.
And in the court documents that were released last week, I mean, there were a number of details, but there's a lot more that police probably have already, or that law enforcement already has, that they don't need to put into those court documents.
Well, absolutely. They're going to keep, they had to put a card or two on the table. They had to put enough on the table to make sure that this judge kept him in under no bond. And in the next hearing, the probable cause hearing, they're going to throw another card or two. But don't forget, they have a lot of work to do. They want to make sure that all of their T's are crossed and their I's are dotted. They don't want to give the defense any more than they have to, unless and until they have to. And Idaho has discovery requirements, so we'll have that. But no. I think they're going to play their cards close to the chest for a while to make sure that everything that they've said, the forensic and whatnot, is very well founded.
We learned last week that there, according to law enforcement, there is a witness. There were a roommate who actually saw the killer leaving the room. We don't know much more about them. We only, obviously, not their identity. They're just the initials in the court documents. But we haven't heard from that person. Is that something that would come out in court documents prior to a trial?
Oh, absolutely, prior to a trial. We may hear more about that next week. And certainly it's going to come out in discovery because there's so many unanswered questions with that witness. Why she waited 8 hours? It could be something as simple as, college kids. They were drinking or intoxicated or whatever else, didn't want the cops in the house. There's something more about that, not nefarious, not some conspiracy, but some reason why she waited 8 hours to do anything. Even with just the idea that some stranger is in her house, you would think something more would have been done than nothing. But again, I think we'll find out with the thousands of pages that are coming.
As we mentioned tonight, the parents of one of the victims has said that the alleged assailant didn't know any of the victims. I'm not sure how they would have that knowledge, but you've seen a lot in your career. Would that surprise you?
It would surprise me for a number of reasons. One, the stalking, that he was looking at the house or around the house or pinging his cell phone around the house for weeks prior. There's something there. And plus, even the type of murder, if you really just try to analyze it, using a knife is a very personal way to kill somebody. It's very violent. So you have to wonder, was he infatuated? Was he getting back at being rejected? There's probably something in that background of him and the interaction with at least one of the people, if not more, at that household that caused this type of violent reaction by him. It is more than just, he picked the house by coincidence. That is not what happened here.
I'm one of the people. You guys were going to a noise last night, sounds like. You guys were on the party. We weren't here last night. Last night we didn't do anything. So we had Elaine Shepherd that lives here. Who's Elaine Shepherd? The person that was born to the noise last night. Yeah. Okay. Well, one thing I will tell you is we didn't do anything last night. No worries. Neighbors are calling in again saying music's good. Okay. You guys do turn it down. Sure. Sounds good. That being said, the tickets get expensive. We got to come back out here. And, the music keeps coming up and neighbors keep calling. Understand that. Yeah, we'll definitely turn it down. I mean, probably off, maybe like very low volume. But we'll definitely turn it down. Yeah, you can have a party. You can have some music. Just not loud enough for people to calling and saying, hey. Sounds good. No worries. Yeah, we should have. I know we were going to go talk to them before. But yeah, maybe do a lap with your neighbors. Yeah, we should do that next time. That's a good idea. Yeah. You live here? I'm one of them. Okay. Yeah. We're both. Grab your name. My name is Elliott, Elliott. And then Lund, Lundh. Middle initial? I have two middle names. PF. Date of birth for you? 99. Good phone number recognition. My bad. What's the area code on that? Eric. Okay. So it's my number is very similar to my mom's, so I confuse it all the time. Happens to the best. I have hers memorized. Happens. I think you guys are lucky. The little lady who lived there was gone now. I think it's a rental property now. Okay. Yeah, we definitely need to check them. I apologize.
Little did I know that went on to a whole new video that I was like, wait a second. And then it said law and order. I'm going to pull up something. I know that JB is up right now as well, like live.
Okay. Yeah, because Bryan the last thing I could find, like I did see an interview Brian Hinton had done last night with the public defender from Pennsylvania, but I think I'd rather watch the current stuff.
Yeah, let's see where he's at. Let's see. And thank you, CD, for that, by the way. Well done.
Total's family has set up a scholarship in her name
here in the Stream Center, and we're going to play it back as what's called an as live. So we'll take you inside the courtroom itself,
but we're
going to have to wait a little bit of time for when the hearing is done. The hearing itself is expected to be quite short, very short.
Yeah, that's what we thought.
It is a status hearing to potentially set up a preliminary hearing. And we're following, of course, all the reporting that's being done in Moscow about exactly how this is going to take shape. So Bryan Kohberger and his defense team, they have a decision to make. This decision has likely already been made, of course, with the actual court appearance scheduled for 8 a.m. Pacific time there in Idaho, 11 a.m. Eastern time, of course, where we are in Tampa. And the defense could waive their preliminary status hearing, which would forego the preliminary hearing itself. Now, if the hearing is not waived, what is going to happen is in the weeks ahead, the two sides, we're going to hear about it today, the scheduling of the preliminary hearing, where in Idaho, per Idaho court rules, we would get potential evidence being put on display inside the courtroom, witnesses coming forward, digital forensics. It could be perhaps very revealing of a date, but this is the court appearance today to potentially set that up. I want to say hi to some of the commenters joining us. Michael Lyon in our comment section saying hello. You can use hashtag HeyJB as our moderator. Michelle Widener is noting here, make sure to use hashtag HeyJB to have your comments featured. We will be going to your comments, but really important is my eyes going in this direction, because right here on this touch screen here in the Stream Center, I'm paying attention to when we're actually going to get the playback of the court feed. So I'll be looking here quite a bit. The screen to my left, comments. Screen to the right is the live feed. And we are tapped into the feed itself, but it doesn't show anything at the moment because
I couldn't handle that many screens.
The actual court hearing itself, when it concludes, they will feed it back our way.
I think I would like it, to be honest.
Here live on
maybe
screen.
Not that many, but at least 3.
So let's go over where we are in this case. News Nation's Robert Sherman is going to be joining us in just a few minutes. Great to have Robert back on stream. We will be trying to bring in additional guests as well. And as it stands right now, we'll talk more about this towards the end of the stream. Peter Tragos, the lawyer will be in here later this afternoon. We plan on launching a second live stream today to do a legal Q&A. There's so many questions pertaining to Bryan Kohberger, his defense, the prosecution, the evidence, the witnesses in this case, and exactly how this is going to take shape in the days, weeks, and months ahead. There's so many questions, and Peter is visiting us here in the Stream Center here at WFLA to help break that down. And I'll be tweeting out some more details about that in the hours ahead. So really hope that you'll be joining us for a 2-stream kind of day here at WFLA. Also, before we go into some of the specifics, want to point out, if you click on the link in the description on this video, it's actually in the pinned comment. Moderators, I'll ask you guys to help us out as far as sharing out the bit.ly link. We have our featured report today, an expert on what the Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger wanted to see. If you click on the link, that bit.ly link, it'll take you over to WFLA.com for more on some fascinating observations by a expert that was interviewed for, again, our featured report. So you can click on the link. And again, as a reminder, you can always come back to the live stream. We're still at least 10, 15 minutes away from the actual feed coming in upon the conclusion of the court hearing in Moscow, Idaho. We're going to be bringing in News Nation's Robert Sherman here in just a moment. He just hopped on the Zoom call here, and he's going to be actually, you know what? Why don't we bring in Robert now? Let's say hi, everybody. News Nation's Robert Sherman joining us there on Zoom. Robert, where are you joining us from? I mean, you're of course still following very closely the Idaho story, the murders of the 4 University of Idaho students. But where are you joining us from? And good morning to you.
Good morning to you as well. Yeah, joining you from McAllen, Texas today. Just kind of been jetting around the country over the last couple of days, but still keeping a very close eye on Idaho and probably going back there in the next couple of days. But juggling a few different assignments right now. I'm sure that you've been diving into a lot of this already on the show, so apologies as I'm just getting caught up here. But it's kind of jury's still, that no pun intended, jury's still out as to what exactly we're going to be getting out of this status hearing today in Idaho. It could be pretty quick. And pretty, just purely logistical, in terms of what laying out what the rest of this case is going to be, the trial process, if he'll waive his right to a speedy trial, and this could be dragged out. Who knows? I wouldn't necessarily expect anything crazy or groundbreaking to happen today, but then again, you never know what could possibly happen in that courtroom.
That's very true. And of course, we're going to be paying very close attention as whenever you have cameras inside of a courtroom. And again, this video here in the center of your screen, folks, this is from the first court appearance last week. But anytime you have cameras inside of a courtroom, any interactions that you see the suspect have, the accused have when it comes to speaking to their representation, their reactions, their facial reactions, oftentimes when it comes to something that the judge is talking about at that moment, even when they're asked to respond, their tone and inflection, these are it gets micro analyzed with, of course, the fact that we have so often HD video from inside these courtrooms. So yes, it is a status hearing that we're about to, actually, the time has just now become 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. So if things are running on time, and I'm sure the reporters on Twitter that are inside the courtroom are going to be helping us follow along here, we're going to get, of course, some kind of correspondence and reports from outside of the courtroom as this transpires. But if this is starting on time, it's happening right now, Robert, and this would set up a preliminary hearing, potentially, provided that the defense doesn't waive their preliminary hearing. If it sets up the preliminary hearing, there's a whole lot more that we could be learning about this case, and we also could be getting witness testimony as well, given what transpired last week with DM, again, the potential witness in this case, telling police that she saw the person clad in black wearing a mask walk right past her. The preliminary hearing could be massive.
It could be, and that would be the emphasis would be on the prosecution in order to establish that there's probable cause if it goes to a preliminary hearing. And in order to do that, pretty much just about everything that you saw in that affidavit is going to have to come to the forefront. You're going to have to bring those witnesses in. You're going to have to lay out this evidence and show the judge, yes, there is probable cause in this case. So we'll see if they have to go through that and have to jump through those hoops, or if that process is going to be waived, and we're just going to be waiting for what comes next here. It's everybody wants some finality in this case, right? It seems as though that's the big thing, is that there's a lot of interest surrounding this case. People are hungry for justice. They're hungry for these few unanswered questions that they have to be answered as soon as possible. And you've got to let the legal process take its course. As we talked about a little bit on your show last time, JB, this isn't what anyone would really describe as a slam dunk case, right? You've got a piece of DNA evidence from the crime scene. You've got the car appearing on cameras around town. You've got cell phone pings. That's what they're going off. And then, of course, you have an eyewitness from inside of the house itself. That's what they're going off of. And, I know that there is such an emphasis now on ensuring that the investigation remains buttoned up from here until finality. Because if there is a mistake in the investigation, if evidence was gathered in an illegal fashion, it could really disrupt the integrity of the case. So, these are all the things that people are going to be watching for. Everything has to be done very fastidiously from here on out. And we'll see what happens over the coming weeks and the coming months.
Yeah, Robert Sherman joining us again. Everybody, Robert Sherman, a correspondent for News Nation. I have to remind that we're always constantly engaging a new digital audience here on WFLA Now. And I have to always remind our audience every few minutes that we are waiting for the replay of the courtroom feed. So if you're just joining us and you're saying, hey, where is the actual court hearing itself? We are waiting for it to be legally allowed to be showed. And it will be from a replay, a refeed, if you will, outside of the courtroom. So that will come our way. And the moment that it is allowed, I can hit a button here. I'll be looking here quite a bit, and we'll be able to play it back live on stream as live, if you will. Brian Enton tweeting out a short time ago, our friend Brian Enton, about to go through security into the Kohberger hearing, live tweeting not allowed. But I will update when it's over and be live on News Nation. Now, they say that live tweeting isn't allowed, and that is so often the case with so many court jurisdictions across the country. But every now and again, it's still very commonplace for what's happening inside of a courtroom to find its way out, whether it's somebody leaving the courtroom and passing along information. This isn't that big of a hearing for that really to happen because of how short this is going to be. Brian might be, depending on if they're on schedule, Brian Enton might be on the way out of the courtroom, as would other reporters be within the next several minutes, Robert. It could be that brief. And then, of course, we will have the replay of the feed itself.
Right. And I know that there are some people out there who get frustrated by the fact that we can't get a live stream from inside the courtroom or can't get live tweeting there. And I think the thing to keep in mind here is that, I mean, especially with a lot of these cases, I mean, let's remember that a gag order was put in place here in this case. I mean, with any one of these cases, you really have to take a few different things into account. One is ensuring that the defendant gets a fair trial and the prosecution is able to go through their processes without public information swirling, interfering with the legal process. You also have to take into account that at some point the public does have a right to know what happened. And then you also have to take into account the First Amendment and journalism and the freedom of press. So you have to weigh all of those different factors at play here in order to determine, what is the best way to navigate here. And this is what the conclusion has come to is that, yeah, I mean, we're all going to be able to see what happened inside that courtroom, what is said by Bryan Kohberger, his counsel, what witnesses say, but it's not going to be done live. It's going to be coming in after the fact from a pool feed. So, and as you said, JB, I mean, we're living in the past here in terms of, what's happening inside of that courtroom. We're going to learn after the fact, but that could be coming down any minute, could be another 10 minutes. It's just hard to know. It's hard to be certain as to what's going to come out of this today.
The moment that it pops up, folks, we'll be playing it back. We will be, of course, muting our audio and just listening in to the raw courtroom feed. So if that's what you're here for, you haven't missed anything, stand by. As soon as it's legal for us to do so, we will be playing it back for you here live on stream. In the meantime, let's get to some of the hashtag AJB questions and comments coming in the Facebook Live, YouTube Live comment section. Nancy, hashtag AJB, can anything prevent this preliminary hearing from happening? And the answer is yes. The answer is that they can waive the rights of the preliminary hearing. And if they do that, I don't know what the odds are. And Robert, you can chime in here. The likelihood that they waive the preliminary hearing, I don't know if that's something that is all that likely. I guess it depends on the strategy here. But as I understand it, really anything is possible.
Right, exactly. And I think it's worth remembering that the status hearing that we have today was asked for by Bryan Kohberger's counsel. And I mean, then there's going to be a discussion today as to what the rest of this is going to look like. I mean, you said it right, JB, is that, I mean, a lot of this is legal strategy here. And, legal counsel is going to do what's best for their client. And that's what they're going to advocate for. So, I mean, this could be a, nope, we're good, open and shut, kind of situation here. We'll see you in court. Or this could be a bit more drawn out and there could be more discussions taking place here. We kind of have to be ready for anything.
Amber, hashtag AJB, maybe a question for the next stream. And we are planning on doing another stream that is really focused on the legalities of this case later on today with Peter Tragos, the lawyer, but would there be any way to tell how long we'd be waiting to see a trial take place if they decide to go to trial? There's two things that come into play here. One, of course, your right to a speedy trial and whether or not you're going to waive your right to a speedy trial, but also just how backlogged things are in Idaho. I don't know what the court docket looks like as far as Idaho right now and how when exactly a trial would get scheduled. Robert, have you heard anything on that as far as how soon a trial could actually get underway in this case?
Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with your first point there, JB, is that you are entitled to a speedy trial. And that's part of what this today is the status hearing is that, I mean, Bryan Kohberger could waive his right to a speedy trial. And then all of a sudden, you're looking at post 6 months from now before anything takes place. It's just hard to say. A lot of these questions are going to be answered probably within the next hour, potentially within the next couple of minutes. But I mean, that's a large part of what's going on today is looking at those logistics of do exactly, when is this all going to be taking place?
I'm really glad to see this comment from Scioli 700 #KJB. Bryan is innocent until proven guilty. We talk so often.
Important.
Yeah, so important. We talk all the time about how the court of public opinion issues their convictions the moment that they have a mugshot. I mean, a mugshot comes out, guilty, guilty, guilty is usually what you'll see online. But we have a legal process in this country. He is innocent until proven guilty. And, we talked to Peter Tragos last time about how strong, and you've noted it as well, how strong really is this evidence. We'll get into the evidence here in just a moment as we, again, wait for the courtroom feed to come, really at our fingertips. But how strong really is that evidence? I mean, there's different components. We've got forensics, digital forensics. We've got a possible suspect who possible witness who saw the suspect. There's the vehicle component, but really just how strong and how many holes can you poke in this arrest affidavit? There's been legal analysis left and right on various networks, Robert, but this is a big question ahead of trial.
Right. Of course, you have to remember the evidence standard that we're using here. I mean, this isn't tort law where you have a preponderance of evidence standard, which basically means you only need to be 51% sure that something was done here or not. You've got to prove this beyond reasonable doubt. And the burden of proof is on the prosecution. So, I mean, as we were saying, JB, and, of course, I'm not an attorney. I don't have a JD, this would be more best for one of your expert guests. But I mean, you look at the list of evidence that's here, if one of these pieces falls through or something like that, all of a sudden, getting a conviction and getting to that beyond reasonable doubt threshold gets significantly more difficult. So there's still a long way to go here. And law enforcement has made very clear that their goal is to get a conviction. But I mean, as we all know, you've got to convict the right person. And every defendant is entitled to their day in court, and they're entitled to fair defense and the opportunity to have their voice heard.
Let's go over the key discoveries, a brief recap while we are waiting for this courtroom feed to come up and pop up on my screen here. Let's go over just a really brief recap, Robert, as we did the last time you and I were on stream. We did it over the course of 2.5 hours. It was interesting. We got so many comments from people saying that they wanted the live stream last time to be longer, when I think it was roughly the length of the first Avatar movie, and they wanted even more coverage. It just goes to show that there's a massive appetite for information when it comes to this story. So many people are gravitating towards the details and want to ask about line 6 on page 4 or line 4 on page 6. But let's just kind of go over really quickly the recap of some of the key discoveries in the probable cause affidavit. We really knew that there were going to be several components. We knew that there was going to be, to an extent of some kind, that there was going to be some forensic component. We had, of course, inkling that there was going to be digital forensics that was going to be part of it as well. And we knew that the vehicle was also going to be part of this process because it was so integral for police to actually track down Bryan Kohberger. The big surprise to all of us was the fact that DM, one of the surviving roommates inside of the house, saw a figure clad in black walk right past her, wearing a mask covering the nose and the mouth, and leave through the back sliding glass door. That was the big reveal, if you will, of the probable cause affidavit that really nobody saw that coming.
No, nobody did. I mean, especially since the guidance that we were given since the beginning was that all of this took place in the victim's sleep, and that it was just really like two surviving roommates woke up to see the carnage that was left behind. And now you get this information that comes out about a roommate seeing somebody inside of the home, and the chilling details and the way that she was described as effectively being petrified and scared into not being able to move in that moment. really shed some light on, how scary of a situation this was. Naturally, JB, I'm sure that everyone who is watching right now and just about everybody on Twitter is still asking the same question. Why was there that long gap between the moment in which the roommate saw the person inside of the home and then calling 911 about 7-8 hours later? And I wish that I could look into a crystal ball and I could tell you what was going on inside that one survivor's head. We cannot. And, it's speculating at this point doesn't really do much good for anybody. In all likelihood, that roommate is going to have to enter some testimony into this case. That's what you would think, that at some point that roommate, assuming this goes all the way to trial, that roommate would be asked to take the stand at some point, because that is such a key piece of evidence that we have here in this case. So, it stands to reason that we're going to get all that information at some point. I think that the thing that I would say is that I think I said this on the show last time. Let's hold off on guessing at, that roommate's mindset and, criticizing that person, for their actions. Because one, very few of us have ever been in that situation before. We don't know what we would do there. And two, we don't really know the situation surrounding that. Let's let the legal process play out here. Let's see what happens over the coming weeks and coming months before casting judgment, and then see what the actual story and what the actual facts are in this case.
I can't begin. Robert, I don't know if you have as well, but I'll speak to my social media accounts. I have received so many messages. I lost count of how many messages, especially on Instagram, comments on TikTok, people trying to get a hold of me and communicate that being in that moment, how crippling the fear might have been for the surviving roommate, DM. Just Dylan.
Oh, JB, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just got a message from Brian Enton, who just got out of the courtroom, and he said that Bryan Kohberger was in court today in an orange T-shirt and told the court he waived his right to a speedy preliminary hearing, no bail.
Okay,
that's the latest guidance we've been given.
Okay, so that's a major development, waiving his right to a speedy preliminary hearing. So is he waiving the right? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Brian, he just tweeted out, Bryan Kohberger's preliminary hearing has been set for June 26th at 9 a.m., waiving his right to a speedy preliminary hearing. My goodness. That is waiving your right to a speedy preliminary hearing is something, but that is 6 months.
That's
right?
6 months. That's 6 months. And, with a preliminary hearing coming, that's when we're going to learn some more of these details and more than likely have some of these burning questions answered. But that's 6 months from now. That's a long time. That's a long time. And especially considering, of course, justice for the victims is always, the number one priority here. And, informing the public of what had happened, that's way down the totem pole in terms of priorities. But that is a long time for that community of Moscow, Idaho to know, exactly what happened in their community. A long time for these victims, for these victims' families in order to get more information in this case and to see the legal process carry out. You think about the fact that this all happened in mid-November and we're looking at the summer of the following year as when this is going to be a preliminary hearing. And that's just the preliminary hearing, a long drawn out process.
Long. I'm always first mind, always thinking about the victims. First thing that pops into my brain, and the victims' families in this regard. And to wait 6 months for a preliminary hearing. We were talking, people were asking, one of the comments earlier was when we were going to have, the beginning of a trial and when the actual trial process was going to get underway. And just a 6 month delay, that catches me by surprise. Robert, does it catch you by surprise as well?
It's a little bit hard to say, because it's all about strategy here. I think that I expected,
and not to interrupt you, this is mutually agreed upon, as I understand it. So both of these sides came to this date. You have to wonder if one of the sides wanted this to be even beyond 6 months, and this was the compromise. We'll find out more in a minute.
I'm sure that we will. I'm sure that we're going to be getting more information in just a couple of minutes here. But I mean, as we've said before, every defendant is entitled to a right to their best defense. And if the public attorney and the public defense counsel who was appointed to Bryan Kohberger felt so that this was the best strategy for them, they're absolutely going to advocate for it. And that's part of the legal system here.
What does everybody think? We're going to spotlight some hashtag KJB comments. What do you think of the preliminary hearing? Again, the preliminary hearing where you might, of course, get new evidence. You might, of course, get witness testimony. It is setting the stage for the trial in and of itself. What do you think of the preliminary hearing being scheduled for approximately 6 months from now, that being June 26th in Idaho? Hold on, I'm getting an alert. Okay, stand by. All right, sorry, folks. I was just being communicated to in my ear that there will be feeds coming down here momentarily. Robert, if you can kind of take things over here for a second as I talk with our feeds folks. Lawyers need to prepare for the trial, but 6 months is too long. I think a lot of folks are saying that online at the moment.
Right. And again, it's all going to come back to, how does this process carry forward? And I understand, a lot of people feeling that way here, but I mean, there are, criminal cases, which last years in the legal system. I mean, it's not totally uncommon for something like this to happen. And again, it's which factor is the most important here? Because there's several that you do have to weigh here. I mean, there are a lot of people who want justice swiftly. I mean, that's something that has to be considered. The public has a right to know and to be informed at some point. That's something to be considered. But it's also due process for a defendant. That's something that has to be considered. So how do you weigh all of these different factors here is in many cases how all of this ends up shaking out. And, exactly, we're going to learn momentarily exactly how this date was arrived upon and what the back and forth was like in the courtroom. As the folks over there figure out, the feed situation. But I mean, surely we're going to be getting more information on this rather momentarily. I mean, there's just a lot to consider. There's a lot to consider in any one of these processes. Yep. And, as we get forward here over the next few months, I mean, surely that's going to be tough for these families in order to think about, how long it's going to take for them to serve justice. But I mean, you look on the other hand as well. Bryan Kohberger is not being offered bail. So I mean, he's going to be sitting in jail for those 6 months, waiting for this case to come up as well. So I mean, this is going to be a long time. This is going to be long and drawn out until we get to that preliminary hearing process.
We are moments away from the feed coming in. I actually tapped into a second feed that might come in first here in the Stream Center. So monitoring 2 separate feeds coming through on different technologies. The moment it's available, we're going to have it here live in the WFLA Now Stream Center. So we're going to be monitoring your comments here as we have Robert Sherman joining us from News Nation. Afterwards, we're going to be answering some questions, but some of the things that, of course, people are going to be looking for, demeanor, body language, just overall the conversation on how June 26th was selected as the date. And I believe now we do have the feed coming in. Let's listen in live from Idaho. Apologies, not live. Again, let me make this clear. This feed is coming in live, but this is the court hearing that took place a short time ago. And it would appear that they are preparing to play it back, and they did play it back, and something didn't operate correctly. So you're looking here at the screen that they're using to feed that back. So quite literally, we are waiting on somebody to hit the play button. And they also might have stopped because, and this is what will happen so oftentimes with live feeds, is somebody says they're not ready, that they're not recording. This is in all likelihood a pool feed. So all media outlets across the country have to be ready for them to receive this feed. And so they might have hit pause, a little bit of behind the scenes as to what's going on. And now it appears that they are trying to play it back. And here it is. This was moments ago in Idaho. And again, appears some difficulties with the feed. This is going out to all stations right now, so all outlets. So if you're watching on a different live stream, you'll be seeing the same exact screen. No audio on this feed just yet. They will likely turn on audio once the court hearing begins. This was moments ago in Idaho, the status hearing for Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger.
Right, good morning. We are on the record. This is cause number CR 29222805. This is State of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger. Mr. Kohberger is in custody. He is appearing here in court with his attorneys, Ms. Taylor, Mr. Logsdon, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings appearing on behalf of the state. This is the time set in the matter for the preliminary hearing status conference. So I am going to inquire of counsel. Ms. Taylor, what's the status at this time?
Thank you, Your Honor. We are going to ask the court to set preliminary hearing out into June. We would request the 3rd or 4th week of June and probably 4 or 5 days for preliminary hearing. Mr. Kohberger understands his right to a timely preliminary hearing, and he's willing to waive the timeliness to allow us time to obtain discovery in this case and be prepared.
And Mr. Thompson, are you in agreement with that?
The state has no objection to that, Your Honor. Ms. Taylor reached out to us by email yesterday with her proposal. On reflection, the state's calendar would be better in the month of July, but we will make the end of June work if that's the court's preference. And I haven't had a chance to talk to Ms. Taylor about that. I'm sorry, I know that's last minute.
That's okay. The court's calendar is going to be better towards the end of June, early July. So would that work, Ms. Taylor, for your scheduling on your other matters?
Your Honor, yes. If we take that 4th week in June, that's actually best.
Okay. So, Mr. Kohberger, I need to speak to you for a moment then. Sir, you do understand, and Ms. Taylor has represented here, that she's advised you of your right to have, or fully discussed with you, the right that you have, which is to have your preliminary hearing within 14 days of the date that you initially appeared before this court. As you recall, when I advised you of your rights, that hearing is a probable cause hearing, where the state has to establish that more likely than not, these felony offenses were committed and you were the one that committed the felony offenses. If you waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing, it does not mean that you're giving up your right to have a preliminary hearing. It simply means that you would not be able to come back and challenge that the state did not present probable cause within 14 days. Do you understand?
Yes.
Have you had enough time to speak with Ms. Taylor about your decision to waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing?
Yes.
Do you need any additional time to do so?
No.
Then I will ask at this time, as to the 5 counts, felony counts that were charged in the criminal complaint that was filed on December 29th of 2022, are you waiving your right to a speedy preliminary hearing and agreeing that that hearing can be held outside the 14-day period?
Yes.
And Ms. Taylor, do you concur with his waiver?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you.
I will find your waiver of speedy preliminary hearing is knowing, intelligently, voluntarily entered here in open court with the assistance of counsel. We will go ahead and set the matter for preliminary hearing. Monday, June 26th at 9:00 a.m. And I will go ahead and reserve the week, so June 26th to June 30th, in the event that we need all 5 days for presentation of evidence. And just so council knows, it will begin at 9 a.m. each of those days. Is there anything further to address at this time in the case, Mr. Thompson?
Not from the state's perspective, Your Honor, no.
All right. Or Ms. Taylor?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Kohberger, then you will be remanded into custody on your same no bail at this point in time, pending further proceedings. Again, we'll send notice out to council, and we will be in recess for this morning.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here is JB Buno.
The preliminary hearing for Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger set for June 26th. Kohberger making his second appearance in Idaho court, answering to the charges of murdering before University of Idaho students. Hello there, folks. JB here with you live on WFLA Now. Let's bring back Robert Sherman. I'm just going to get right to our comment section. And our comment section is lighting up with one comment in particular, noting some of the cuts that are on Bryan Kohberger's face. I would say somewhere between 60-70% of our comments are all about some of the markings that he has right here next to his lip, and right there on the jawline as well. He looks to me, Robert, to be relatively clean shaven as far as his second appearance, ahead of his second appearance in Idaho court. So I'm looking at this as potentially maybe shaving cuts, but all our comment section is talking about right now are some of the markings on his face.
Yeah, and again, it's a who knows right now kind of situation. I mean, this case is being played so closely to the vest that we really have no idea what's going on here. And I mean, it could be nothing, as you said, JB. I mean, it could just be shaving cuts. I mean, it could be something more significant than that. I mean, who knows at this point? But I mean, it's just another piece of ammunition for the speculation, shall we say? I mean, looking at that status here that we just had here, I mean, it was kind of, as we talked about, it could be pretty point blank, open and shut, what this was. I mean, you even heard from the Latah County prosecutor, Bill Thompson, who said they had no objections to this date. They had some amicable correspondence with Kohberger's legal counsel beforehand in order to set this date. So, I mean, everybody was fine with this. I mean, there was really no us versus them kind of dynamic here. And I know that, I mean, I'm already starting to get some people reaching out to me, who are frustrated, by like how long this is going to take until we have this preliminary hearing. But I mean, this is how this goes. This is how this situation tends to play out sometimes. And we're all just going to have to wait until June in order until we start to get some of the more details on this case.
For those of you just joining us that missed some of the conversation before this live stream or before the court feed became accessible to us, we're going to have an afternoon stream today on WFLA Now, specifically about the legalities going forward. I have now a myriad of questions to ask to Peter Tragos, our special guest, the lawyer who will be here physically with me in the WFLA Now Stream Center, and really the entirety of that live stream coming up in a few hours on WFLA Now across all platforms will be just to answer your questions. I mean, that's really all we're going to be doing. We're going to be answering as many of your questions going through YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter as well, rapid fire, so that we have a conversation about where things stand now with this preliminary hearing set for June 26th, again, in Idaho. Again, Robert Sherman, JB Buno here with you live. So, okay, the scratches on the face, that, of course, is the big thing that people are talking about in our comment section right now, whether or not they are shaving cuts. Look, if there was anything that had happened while Bryan Kohberger was in custody, something outside of the shaving cut scenario, we likely would have been told about it from Idaho police, Idaho authorities in general, and we have not heard of anything happening behind the scenes as far as his time in custody, again, after his extradition back to Idaho from Pennsylvania. So let's keep things focused here on the actual, the headline itself, that his preliminary hearing is set for June 26th in Idaho. Let's talk about the meaning behind that. Robert, there's now a ton of time, 6 months, for more evidence to be discovered, for there to be forensics that comes back, examinations on the Hyundai Elantra, examinations of some of the evidence that was quite literally taken out of the college residents, the Kings Road residents, just really in the last couple of weeks. All of this time now for both sides to prepare. It's not just Kohberger and his defense to prepare their defense now that they have the probable cause affidavit. It also gives time for more tips to come in. There's a lot of time now for both sides to really set the stage for what will be, I mean, to say the least, with all the time that's going to elapse, a highly anticipated preliminary hearing on June 26th.
Right. And it's, as you mentioned, it's more time for the prosecution in order to find, the facts that they're looking for and the evidence that they're looking for in order to get a conviction. But it also gives the defense opportunity to put together their defense in a way and to potentially find new facts to this case that aids the defense of Bryan Kohberger as well. I mean, everything is strategy here. Effectively what you've looked at is Bryan Kohberger has waived his right to a speedy trial. You even heard the judge say theirs is that the prosecution had 14 days to show that they had probable cause in this case. He's waived that right there. So an exception has been granted, that strays from the norm a bit, shall we say. There's a reason for that. There's surely a reason that the defense has asked for an exception. There's surely a reason that the defense has asked for all this to take place. Again, I don't mean to overstate my credentials here. I do not have a JD. I am not an attorney. I've sat in on a number of these cases before, and all I can tell you is that everything is done for a reason, and everything is done meticulously. And I'm surely we're going to be getting more information about that. But you're looking at a June timeline until you start to get some of these questions answered here in this case. You look at this gag order that has been in place. That's going to be a long time in order to hold over this gag order from both sides. Nobody's allowed to talk about the case. It's going to be a long time until a lot of people are going to get the answers that they're looking for here. Talking to some people in the Moscow community, we were just talking to them the other day. There's a lot of people who really want to know what happened in this case, largely because this is really the biggest homicide that's really happened in their lives. And for the first time, these people are telling us that they're locking their doors in Moscow. They're afraid to walk around town, for the first time in their lives. So, they do have stake in this game. This is for the people of Moscow, Idaho, that gets more than, the curiosity of the case. People want to know what happened in their community, and they have a right to know that. But of course, as we said before, there are multiple things that you have to weigh here. And one of the most paramount things you have to weigh is the due process for the defense. And that's what we're getting here.
Let's, some people are making note of his voice. He did respond to the judge, of course, when asked by the judge if he was in fact agreeing to his to waiving the right to a speedy trial. And then, of course, some of the folks noting that he was not in handcuffs as well. look, that's that is done. Everything here is done per court procedure. So if he's not in handcuffs, that is because that is the policy and the procedure based, of course, on what's going on there with the with Idaho court procedures. So others making note of that as well. Let's go to some of the comments on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live. If you use hashtag HeyJB, if you use hashtag HeyRobert for Robert Sherman, we can answer some of your questions while we're here live on WFLA Now. Or maybe you have, how often do we get just amazing observations from some of our commenters who point out something? Feel free to either point out something. I want to point out this comment from Black Rose, hashtag HeyJB. Do you think that they will find the knife? We haven't talked about that on this live stream. Let's still point out that the murder weapon itself has not been recovered. The sheath has been recovered, and the sheath might be the most important piece of evidence in the case so far for prosecutors, because on the button of that sheath was a blood sample that they were able to use to establish forensics that pointed them and confirmed with, and I'll go, where's the probable cause affidavit? On the very last page, I want to make sure I get the number of nines right here, Robert. At least 99.9998 of the male population would be expected to be excluded from this possibility of being the suspect's biological father. So again, genetic genealogy being used. But yeah, as of right now, there is no murder weapon. And that also, too, we're talking about June 26th. That gives investigators, a period of half a year, roughly half a year, to find the murder weapon. But when we're talking about all the time that elapsed in the aftermath of November 13th and all of the geography that was all the many, many states between Idaho and Pennsylvania, there's just endless, quite literally endless possibilities for what happened to the potential murder weapon in this case, Robert.
Right. And you brought up that number, more than 99.9%. I mean, as somebody who's sat in these trials before, all that I heard there was not 100%. That's what the defense is going to say. That's going to be the point that the defense takes, in order to try and.
Let's see here. Whoops. Bring it off to the side. I'm going to pause that. It's just going to be repeating like so much of the same stuff we've been listening to. June 26th, obviously, is the next preliminary hearing, unless that gets postponed again and stuff like that. Adam, you just said there's something in the discovery document I found very interesting when CD sent it. What was that?
Well, you have the document there?
Which one? The 4 pages he sent?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Let's do that. If anyone wants to continue watching it, honestly, it's just going to be a lot of repetitive questions. I don't think it's rocket science anymore. We already know. They're just going to be going over the same stuff over and over again. June 26th. Now, one thing I want to say, though, before I pull that up is, like, obviously we know that there's the car, the apartment, the computers, the phone, and all that. So when that Robert Sherman guy was talking like that, in the affidavit, we all know it was whatever they needed to get a probable cause. Simple as that. And there's so much more out there. And so when he says it's not a slam dunk, well, again, obviously based on the probable cause affidavit, there's only so much stuff in there, which we know. But we know that there's so much more to come when it comes to the evidence and stuff like that. And thank you, Lynn. Lynn had sent me a picture. What you sending me there, Adam? Oh, you sent it. Yeah, that's the same one that I think Lynn sent to me here. Is that picture? Did you get it from the same person?
Yes.
Okay. So let me just stop screen, present, share screen. Share on this. I'll just quickly show that picture first. Oops. I almost showed your pickle picture.
Uh-oh.
So basically up close.
Yeah, that looks like a scratch to me. It doesn't look like a razor cut because of the yeah.
Yeah. It looks like a scratch to me, but it really depends on somebody's own thing. Like some people do this. right? So he could, like, you know how when you scratch your face, everyone has their own little twitches and tweaks and stuff that they do. That's, what did he say? Hey, Alexa. To me, this looks to me like dermatillomania. Dermatillomania. Usually people who have OCD tend to pick their skin. Yeah, those aren't razor cuts there.
The one under the jaw to me was like, that's the one I was like, oh, that looked like a razor, because that's such a common place for guys to cut themselves when they're shaving, is like right, where the jawbone hits.
Yeah.
But there's definitely the break in the that cut along under the lips.
Yeah.
To me, more like scratching.
Yeah. Like I said, everyone has their little nervous twitches, and who knows what it's from, but it was very apparent that there definitely was something going on there, right? Picking. I mean, what else you got to do in a jail cell, right? And I'm still curious, CD, about the razor thing, because like obviously razors are a weapon, and I can't remember what I heard about razors and that, because obviously
they usually get like a cheap. I mean, my understanding is they usually get like a cheap, like disposable razor they get to use only when they're in. Someone's, I would assume, observing them.
I would think so. Yeah, because it's just obviously we all know that those things would be always are used as a weapon. They show it on documentaries all the time. I think it's just it could be bruising, but I think it's shadowing. She's talking about like right this area, I believe, right here. I think I don't know. I think it's more shadowing myself. Oops, sorry guys. Wrong window. Okay. Okay. So are you talking about on page 2?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and this was a document that was written by Bryan's defense team. And this is a defendant's request for discovery pursuant to ICR 16.
Yeah, this is part of it right here.
Yeah, that's the first page. But there is a paragraph on page 2 I found very interesting, because I'm not sure why they would include it, and it's right there on number 2.
Yeah. Okay. And thanks again, CD.
And so, we don't know anything about a co-defendant or anything, but on line 2, the defense team specifically included a paragraph that says, statements of co-defendant. Any written or recorded statements by a co-defendant and the substance of any relevant oral statement made by a co-defendant, whether before or after arrest in response to interrogation by any person known by the co-defendant to be a peace officer or agent of the prosecuting attorney, or which are otherwise relevant to the offense charged.
Okay, statements of co-defendant, any written and recorded statements. Co-defendant. So what does that mean?
Well, I don't know.
What does it mean, City? Statements of a co-defendant.
Is it simply in the event that there is someone else arrested that this is relevant, or is there something we don't know?
Let's see what it says. A co-defendant is a third party other than the defendant in the case, in which another co-defendant is charged and is by nature a witness. To ensure the defendant's rights to examine the witness, such co-defendant should be treated as a witness who shall be given a sworn testimony and be examined by the defendant and his or her attorney before such testimony can be admitted as the basis for determining an offense.
Right. And Deb, you could be right. It could be a standard practice thing. I'm just thinking about the fact that this was written from the defense team, and it's just curious that they included that in there. And if that is like a normal thing that's in that they do case for every case. I don't know.
I think he looks less confident today. Sonny, look, Sonny. That's why I sent it. Number 2 is bizarre language, but seems he has been lining it up since taken into custody.
Right.
Do you think that goes with the whole thing, or did they arrest anyone else?
Right. And it doesn't mean there is someone else involved. It means that he's trying to maybe implicate the fact that there could be. I don't know. But as soon as I read that, I was like, oh, it just stood out to me. And of course, we're reading this, on the fly. So, like I said, if it is standard practice, then, it's nothing.
Where's Lewis when you need a law interpretation? I probably is at home. Freckle Joy. Let's see here. Hold on a second. Give me 1 second. Here. Let's see. Did you want to read any more about Adam, or just that part?
That was the only part that stood out to me as really interesting.
Yeah, because I had to go back to it because City was like, "Hey, look at number 2," and I hadn't had time to look at it. So now that I see this, what it's saying, then yeah, because like I said, there was reference to him saying that about another person. Who knows? Maybe there was somebody else. For all we know.
Or he's just trying to point the finger to someone else that help to aid in defense. It could be as simple as that, and it's probably the most logical answer for why they included it, because they want to paint the picture that if he either did not act alone or that he's innocent.
June 26th. I mean, I'm all one that personally, I like. For me, honestly, I personally don't care, because it gives them, bottom line is it gives them more time to prepare for the case as well. I look at it from that point of view, that the defense is going to do their thing and whatever, but it lets hopefully the prosecution and that,
yeah, my goodness, Keegan Kline's been in jail for 2 years.
I mean, right? And even then when June 26th comes, like I said, it could again get delayed again right after that for whatever reason.
Yeah. I mean, who knew that the Idaho, the Latah County docket was so packed?
His classmate said he was always prepared responses for everyday questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of it? I thought, it's hard. There were one-word answers, but I thought his voice I thought he answered very confidently and very, on par with what we've heard about his demeanor in the past, as far as being polite and, direct.
I think that Bryan has this arrogance about him, for sure. And he's not some meek little thing going, I'm in jail. It's like, damn, I got caught, and he's probably like, no, I am too perfect. I don't know how this happened. Like, I think he thinks that he can get off.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think I think that he still thinks he's smart enough to beat this.
Yeah, I do too.
By June, he might not, but right now, I think that.
So, what still is very interesting to me, let's see. He didn't want to let you commit the perfect crime. He wanted to beat the charges in court to surpass his mentors. Still, what what most of us still want to know is why that place, why that home. So if there wasn't a connection to them, but he maybe came across them or that house that specifically he wanted, that it was that house that was the target, You know, that's the part, that's the mystery, of course, that we all want to know. Is and of course the other thing is what happened during that time frame that Dylan saw him, and what, of course, you know, truly happened. Because as they keep talking about her, you know, I would probably be, if I saw that, I would probably shut the door, lock it. I don't know where her phone is at this point in time, but I would literally be fucking tiptoeing and hiding in the fucking closet and finding anything I could in case he happened to come back. I would be in a frozen state myself.
Right.
Now, I'm not gonna lie. For me, let's just say that I thought someone was in the house still, and I didn't have my. I would not freaking move, because I would be. Do you know what I mean? When you're in that predicament, you literally would be, you know, like me. Like, let's just say I saw the person. I'm just going by myself here. I would literally would not. I would be frozen in a spot, you know, prepared for if you came in, shaking and going, "Mommy, mommy, where are you?" You know, type of thing. Because I would be so like, just I feel like that's exactly how Abby and Libby were exactly as well. That all of a sudden they're in this horrific state, and all they want is someone to come protect them and save them and help them, you know, because it goes from we're just having a good day going down the bridge to next thing you know, they're in such a horrific fear. And same thing with Dylan, you know, it makes you wonder, like, did she have her phone with her? Maybe was it on the counter in the kitchen or something like that? Maybe she did have her phone. Maybe she passed out, but I'm just, you know, we don't know. We don't know. I'm sure there's going to be obviously, you know, some sort of reasoning for it.
Right.
We just don't know what that is. But so those are the two main things to me that always will stick out in my head of wanting the answers to, or wanting, you know, why that happened or what happened there. Actually, to be honest with you, the top one for me would probably be why he chose that house. Like, that house was the target. He obviously went there 12 times. Crime sleuthing sending now. Discovery doc.
I also put it up on my community page for anyone that wants to grab it off there as well.
Yeah, the 4 pages that you CD set. Okay. Yeah. He didn't say, oh, there's 69 people watching right now. I know that Long Crime had like 17K watching and stuff like that. I just can't be asked at this moment to watch repetitive stuff that they're just going to keep talking about. You know, we've listened to it all. Anyone that's following the case has been to all the different channels, listening to all the regurgitated information and seeing what people's thoughts are, opinions, and blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is, when it comes to the probable cause, that gets old to me after a while, because we all know that the probable cause is only a bit of what's truly there. And when people, you know, use common sense and think about it, again, the apartment, the phone, the car, that car, I'm sure, is going to have DNA in there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You know, there's gonna be something in there, I bet.
And there's going to be something in that car, even if he put plastic down over the seats, you know, which would not surprise me if he prepared his car. But
Deb thinks, I think Zane and Maddie were the targets because they had the same work, same sorority, same house, same majors, different floors.
Could be.
And you know, it could be like, meaning he went up to the 3rd floor, though, to me, for a reason first. You know, he could have stayed on that same floor, you know.
Well, Maddie was on the 3rd floor.
Yeah, Maddie was on the 3rd, exactly. But he could have stayed on that same floor. But he had been at the house 12 times. He knew who lived there. He knew there was a reason why he was at that house regardless, you know, and that's why hence he staked it out, stalked it out. It was probably a peeping perv as he's sitting there looking through the back window. I mean, I wonder how many times he parked off the side there, you know, and was in the tree line without them knowing it, you know, and just shudder when you
I mean, we know the one date that he was pulled over, you know, after leaving, you know, two minutes away. Olivia, Kaylee's sister, said she'd been on the phone with her that night,
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
for all she knows, he was watching the house while they were on the phone together.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone that's watching, can you please give a like and a share to this live? We'd appreciate it very much, especially for the fact that I was up at 7 a.m. What was I gonna, oh, another question I do have, I would like to know is like when Steve, I mean, and he could have maybe, I don't know, misspoke a little bit. When Steve Gonzalez said about the touching of the that his Wi-Fi was touching
Touching into the Wi-Fi.
yeah, was that on the 13th date? Was it on a different date before that?
Yeah.
That it happened? Was he like literally at the back of their home? You know, because that's how I see it. That he's somewhere in the back of their home, so that if you were to go out in the backyard, he's basically right there in those bushes. Or was it on the 13th when is obviously what? Because it was touching. Is that the same thing as connected? Like it was connected to? Like it connected?
I mean, we don't know. The wording of touching was interesting.
Yeah, it is a very interesting word. Nobody that I know uses the word touching for Wi-Fi connected. You know, wow, you stop whining down there. That's Bambi's trying to give attitude while I'm doing a live. You already been fed. I can feel her rubbing up against my legs. Did you hear that they found a big box of shoe booties at his parents' house? Yeah, I remember
It
hearing
was actually
that.
outside. I know that we saw them carrying one out when they were carrying it out of his apartment in Washington. I didn't hear that they found the booties at the parents' house in Pennsylvania as well. But I mean, I know that we saw them carrying them out in Washington.
Adam, what time do you work again today?
12:30.
9 to 10, 10 to 11 to 12.
Yeah.
Oh, so you need to get going too.
Yeah.
Yeah, on there. Okay, you know what, guys? I think we're going to bring this live to an end. Again, I mean, all the networks are going to be covering it and stuff like that anyway. Adam has to go to work. I need to go to my sister's later and stuff like that. So who knows? We just wanted to bring you that coverage and thank you for joining us. And and talking with us prior to the live. And again, I mean, if we don't see you again tonight, which I'm not sure if we will, we'll see you tomorrow night on Friday. And
we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Oh, right. Tomorrow morning. Sorry. Tomorrow morning is Delphi. That's when, of course, Richard Allen has the 2 hearings. And you said that someone might be doing live coverage from it.
Yes, as far as I know, someone is going to be in the courtroom. They won't be. I mean, I don't believe they're able to like text while they're in there. But at least we'll get a play-by-play as soon as it's over.
Yeah.
And last time for the last hearing, I mean, that we were given those details. I mean, way before they ended up on the news. So that was great to have someone in the courtroom.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always nice to have that for sure. He was talking about pinging of his phone by all. Thanks, you guys. Yeah, thank you guys so much. You guys take care. Have a great day. Bless. And we'll see you soon. Take care.
See you later, either tonight or tomorrow.